She was hunted across galaxies, feared, hated, forgotten. But then, one human stopped. He didn't run. He didn't scream. He just helped. They said he was stupid. They said he was dead the moment he touched her. But instead, she offered him something no human had ever been given. A gift, a curse, or maybe a doorway to something far more terrifying. And once he stepped through it, nothing ever came back. Welcome to a new story. My name is Michael. I'm the voiceover artist for this channel. And this is where humanity shows its teeth. She was covered in blood the first time he saw her, but it wasn't her own. Her eyes glowed in the dark. Her breathing was weak, and her hands, they were shaking, like she hadn't fed in days. Everyone else ran from her. Jalen didn't. In the next few minutes, you'll discover how one human's kindness broke a 1,000-year curse, how a single moment of mercy turned into a terrifying offer, and why some say Jalen was never seen again. This is not a love story. It's not even a rescue. It's a warning. Now let's go back to where it all began. The outer junk ring of Rexus 9 was silent. Broken ships floated like corpses. Scrap bots worked in the shadows, pulling metal from the bones of old war machines. This was Jalen's workplace. Not by choice. He was a salvager, a scrapper. Low pay, low oxygen, low hope. Every morning, he climbed through old wrecks and pulled out tech pieces to sell for credits. No one cared if you died out there. That was just part of the job. And then one day, he found her. He thought it was a dead body at first, half buried under a crashed fighter. The red skin, the silver chains, the empty look in her glowing yellow eyes. But she wasn't dead. She blinked, then whispered something. "Don't tell them." Jalen froze. This wasn't just some alien. She was one of them. The stories called them vampires, energy feeders, ancient creatures who once drained entire colonies. Everyone thought they were extinct. But here she was, breathing, bleeding, and clearly afraid. Jalen could have run. He should have. But he didn't. Something in her eyes wasn't dangerous. It was calm, broken. He dropped to one knee, checked her pulse, and whispered back, "Relax. I won't." She looked shocked, confused, like she didn't believe him. Like no one had ever said those words to her before. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Just two beings. In a human, one alien, sitting in silence in a graveyard of machines. Then, footsteps. Heavy ones. Voices came from the North Tunnel. A patrol crew. If they saw her, they'd shoot first, ask later, vampire or not. Jalen moved fast. He pulled a rusted tarp from a crate and covered her up. Sat in front of her like he was resting. 3 armored guards walked by, scanned him, asked what he was doing. "Looking for power cells," he said. They nodded, moved on. And the girl under the tarp didn't make a sound. Not a breath, not a twitch. When the coast was clear, he pulled the tarp off slowly. She looked at him, not with fear, but with curiosity. "You helped me," she said. "Yeah," Jalen replied. "Why wouldn't I?" She didn't answer. She just stared. Then her hand touched her chest, like she just remembered something. "My name is Velrah," she whispered. Jalen nodded. "Nice to meet you," he said. And that was it. No guns, no attacks, no big drama. Just a strange, quiet moment in the middle of nowhere, between a dying creature from a forgotten race and a human who still believed in helping someone, even when he didn't have a reason to. He didn't know it yet, but that small act of kindness, it would change the course of his life forever. And Velrah, she wasn't just any alien vampire. She was the last of her kind, and she was about to make him an offer that could destroy everything he knew. Velrah sat in silence, her eyes dim, her body weak, but something in her voice still held power. Jalen gave her a half-full energy cell from his kit. She didn't even touch it. She just stared. "You really don't want anything in return?" she asked. Jalen gave a small shrug. "Maybe you'll save me one day." Velrah didn't smile, but something behind her sharp yellow eyes softened. She touched the energy cell, and in seconds her skin began to glow, not bright, just enough to stop shaking. That's when she spoke again, slowly, carefully. "Do you know who I am?" she asked. Jalen shook his head. "You're a vampire. That's all I know." Velrah nodded. "Yes, but not the kind from your horror stories." She looked up at the dark ceiling of the ruined station. "We were born from stars. We feed on energy, not blood. We built empires while your kind still feared fire." Jalen listened, not sure what to say. "But we made a mistake," she continued. "A great one. We tried to control death, to live forever." Her voice grew colder. "And when we tried, something changed us. We became cursed." Jalen narrowed his eyes. "What do you mean, cursed?" Velrah looked at him. Her stare was deep, ancient, tired. "We don't age. We don't die. But we forget." She tapped her temple gently. "After 1,000 years, names fade, faces vanish, and even pain becomes quiet." Jalen stayed quiet. There was nothing to say. "What do you tell someone who has lived longer than human history?" Velrah leaned forward just a little. "Every few centuries we fall asleep. Our minds shut down. Our bodies freeze. And when we wake up, the world has changed." Jalen looked around at the rusted metal and broken screens. "Yeah," he muttered. "I guess it has." Velrah tilted her head. "I woke up too early this time, alone, hungry, weak." She paused. "Your people found me and tried to kill me." Jalen frowned. "You didn't fight back?" Velrah looked down at her hands. "I could have, but then I would have become what they already believed I was." The silence between them grew heavy again. Then Jalen asked, "Why tell me this?" Velrah looked him straight in the eyes. "Because you didn't run. You didn't shoot. You didn't hate." She leaned closer now, closer than before. "You reminded me of something I thought was gone." Jalen raised an eyebrow. "What's that?" Velrah's voice became barely a whisper. "Hope." The word echoed in the dark. Soft, but powerful. Jalen looked away, suddenly feeling small under her gaze. But before he could speak again, a sound echoed from deep in the station, a metallic hiss, then another. Something had entered the scrap zone. Something big. Velrah's eyes flashed brighter. "They've found us." Jalen grabbed his bag. "Who?" Velrah stood up slowly, her legs still shaking. "Hunters." Her voice dropped lower. "And if they catch me, they'll take you too." Jalen's heart thumped. "Then we run," he said. Velrah gave him a strange look. "You don't have to stay." Jalen stared back. "I didn't leave when I found you bleeding. I'm not leaving now." Velrah's glowing eyes locked with his. For the first time, she truly believed him. And that belief would cost them both far more than they knew. They moved fast, but not fast enough. The sound came again, closer this time. A deep hum, like breathing metal. Then the sharp crack of boots hitting steel. Jalen and Velrah darted through the lower corridor, a narrow tunnel built from old starship parts and rusted power coils. Velrah stumbled once. Her legs still weren't ready. Jalen caught her. Didn't stop. They reached the edge of the tunnel. A broken door hung open like a torn mouth. And then they saw it. A hunter drone. Tall, thin, wearing the symbol of the Purity Order, a silver skull cracked by light. Its head turned slowly, eyes glowing blue. Velrah froze. Jalen whispered, "Can it see us?" "No, not yet," she replied. "But if it hears us, we're dead." The drone scanned the room, then took a step closer. Its hand opened into a weapon. A silent countdown had started. Jalen knew they had only seconds. He looked at Velrah, then at the scrap around them. He spotted a pile of energy pipes, thin, brittle, half-melted. He whispered, "We go loud?" Velrah raised an eyebrow. "You'll make it angry." "I'll make it blind," Jalen said. Then, he threw one of the pipes across the room. It clanged hard, metal on metal, the sound echoing through the hollow chamber. The drone snapped its head to the noise and moved fast, blasting its cannon into the darkness. Jalen pulled Velrah and ran the other way, through a side vent, low and narrow. Behind them, the drone fired again. The wall shattered. Heat and sparks followed. They crawled through the vent, hands burning from the rough metal. Velrah whispered, "They never send one drone," as if the universe heard her. 2 more footsteps hit the floor above them. "Keep moving," Jalen hissed. At the end of the vent, they dropped into a dark shaft. It smelled like oil and death. Velrah coughed, energy still fading. Jalen checked his pocket. 1 small Fusio, Incel left. He handed it to her. "No," she said. "You'll need it." "I'm human," he said. "We don't run on electricity." She gave him a look, half surprised, half grateful, then took the cell and drank. Her body lit up again just a little. "Better?" he asked. "Not strong," she said, "but awake." More stomps above, voices now. Cold, mechanical voices. Target confirmed. Secondary heat signature, human. Velrah tensed. "They've marked you." Jalen pulled out a rusted cutter from his bag. "Then we give them something to remember." Velrah looked at him. Really looked. "You're not like the others." "Good," Jalen said. "They're all dead." They moved again, this time into the lower engine vault. It was massive, full of shadows and dead wires. And waiting in the center, a 4th hunter. Bigger than the others. This one was different. It didn't move. It just spoke. "You helped her, fed her, protected her." Jalen stepped forward slowly. "So what?" The hunter's voice was deep, metallic, filled with hate. "She is cursed. She is forbidden. And now, so are you." Jalen looked back at Velrah. She didn't blink, didn't breathe. The hunter raised its hand. "Come with us, or be erased." Jalen smiled. "Erase this," he said, and slammed the cutter into a loose panel above. The room exploded in sparks, cables snapping, energy surging through the walls. The hunter twitched, screamed, then dropped. Jalen turned to Velrah. "Run now. Talk later." She didn't argue. They disappeared into the shadows, but the hunters weren't finished, not even close. Because now, this wasn't a capture mission anymore. This was war. The smoke hadn't cleared, but Jalen kept running. His lungs burned, his legs shook, but he didn't stop. Velrah followed behind, silent now, focused. They had escaped the vault, but not the hunt. Above them, drones regrouped. Below them, alarms echoed. The station was waking up. They reached a narrow room filled with broken escape pods. Jalen slammed the door shut and dragged a fuel pipe in front of it. It wouldn't hold for long, but maybe just long enough. He turned to Velrah. "You okay?" She nodded slowly, but her eyes were far away. Jalen stepped closer. "Velrah, what are you thinking?" She didn't answer at first, then finally spoke. "You shouldn't have helped me." Jalen frowned. "Bit late for that." Velrah stepped into the center of the room. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and the air around her began to shift. Jalen felt it. The temperature dropped. The lights dimmed. The shadows moved. Then, her voice changed. Not louder, but deeper, older. "Do you know what I really am?" she said. Jalen stayed quiet. Velrah's skin began to glow faint red, her arms pulsing with energy just under the surface. "My kind were made by stars, not born like humans, created." She turned to face him. "Long ago we made a choice, to never feed from the living again, to sleep instead." "But they didn't let us sleep." Her voice cracked. "They hunted us, trapped us, drained us." She raised her hand, and in the middle of her palm, a thin spark appeared. It grew into a burning symbol, spinning, floating, glowing brighter and brighter. Jalen stepped back. "What is that?" Velrah opened her eyes. "That's what they fear." Suddenly, a sharp bang hit the door. Jalen jumped. Another hit, louder. "They're here," he whispered. Velrah didn't move. She kept staring at the glowing mark in her hand. Then, the wall burst open. The biggest hunty yet stepped through, silver armor, energy blade, and no mercy in its eyes. It charged forward. Jalen reached for his cutter, but before he could lift it, Velrah moved, fast, inhuman fast. She stepped forward, raised her hand, and the glowing symbol in her palm exploded with light. A wave of red energy slammed into the hunter. Not physical, not fire, but something deeper. The hunter stopped. Its metal screamed, its weapon fell, and then it collapsed. Dead. Not broken. Dead. Jalen stared. "What was that?" Velrah stood still, her hand now dim again. Her voice was calm. "That's why they fear us." Jalen couldn't speak. She had moved like lightning, hit with no weapon, destroyed something unkillable, and then stood there, as if nothing had happened. He whispered, "How much power do you have?" Velrah looked at him. "Enough to save us both, or enough to destroy everything." A pause. Then she said something strange. "Kindness unlocks things we bury." Jalen frowned. "What do you mean?" Velrah stepped closer. "You reminded me who I was, before the hunger, before the wars, Before the sleep, Jalen looked down at the hunter's body, then back at her. "You didn't want to fight," he said. "No," she replied. "But I will, for you." Outside, more footsteps echoed. Drones, soldiers. The hunt wasn't over. But Velrah was done running. Jalen could see it in her face. She had remembered what it meant to fight for someone else. And this time, she wasn't fighting to survive. She was fighting for him. Jalen had seen war before, but never like this. No sirens, no firestorms, no armies. Just silence and shadows moving in the dark. Velrah stood near the broken wall, her eyes glowing again, brighter now. The drones outside. They didn't rush in like before. They waited. Watched. Jalen noticed it too. "They're afraid of you," he whispered. Velrah didn't answer, but her body told the truth. She was done hiding. From the corner of the room, a soft beep echoed. Jalen turned to his wrist scanner. Multiple signals, 20, maybe more. Velrah looked out the opening. "They've surrounded us." Jalen tightened his grip on the old cutter. "Then we break the circle." Velrah didn't move. "Jalen?" Her voice was soft now. Almost sad. "There's something you should know." Jalen raised an eyebrow. "Now's a weird time for secrets." She stepped closer, close enough that he could feel her energy buzzing through the air. "I'm not just running from the hunters." A pause. "They want me, because I hold the key." Jalen blinked. "What key?" Velrah touched her chest. "To an ancient weapon, hidden inside me. A memory lock, placed there before I went to sleep." Jalen swallowed hard. "What kind of weapon?" Velrah's eyes met his. "One that doesn't kill, but erases." He didn't understand. She continued. "It can wipe entire species from time. Not just death, but complete deletion." Jalen froze. "Why would anyone build that?" Velrah's answer came slow. "Because once, someone tried to erase us first." Outside, a humming sound began. The drones were activating weapons. Velrah turned back to the hole in the wall. "They know I'm awakening, and they won't let me leave." Jalen looked around. No exits, no tricks left. Just scrap, and memory, and one impossible decision. Then Velrah said something that twisted the air. "I can stop them without killing." Jalen looked at her sharply. "How?" Velrah raised her hand again. The symbol returned. "If I unlock the memory lock, they'll feel what we felt, see what we saw." Jalen didn't get it. "You mean, show them your pain?" Velrah nodded. "Exactly. Pain, fear, the betrayal. They'll live it, for 10 seconds. And in those 10 seconds, Jalen whispered, they'll break." She looked down. "Yes." Jalen took a breath. "So what's stopping you?" Velrah turned to face him, her voice quieter than ever. "You." He blinked. "What?" "If I do this, I lose something. Something you gave back." He didn't answer. She stepped closer. "I remembered how to care. Because of you." Another sound outside, closer now. The drones were moving. No time. Jalen placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then do it. Not for them. For us." Velrah looked into his eyes and smiled. A real smile. Then she stepped forward, out into the open, and unleashed the storm. There was no explosion, no scream, only silence. The drones froze, one by one, their lights flickering, their arms shaking. Then, their metal eyes began to glow red. Not from anger, from memory. Each one saw it. Her memories, her pain, the betrayal of her people, the day they were hunted, unarmed, the lies, the fear. It poured into them, and their code cracked. Every drone dropped to its knees. The war ended without a bullet. A bloodless war. Jalen stepped out behind her. The air was still. Velrah stood there, barely breathing. She had used something far deeper than power. She had used truth, and it had nearly destroyed her. He caught her as she fell. "Hey, you okay?" She didn't speak, just leaned into him. Softly, tired. Then, she whispered, "That's what mercy looks like," and passed out in his arms. The wind was still. The battle was over. But it didn't feel like a victory. Jalen sat against the cold wall of the broken vault, Velrah's head resting on his shoulder. Her skin no longer glowed. Her body, quiet, like she was caught between worlds. The drones had shut down, all of them. Some still knelt, others just powered off, as if ashamed. The air smelled like rust and silence. Then, Velrah moved. Slow, weak, but alive. Her voice came like a whisper. "You stayed." Jalen looked down at her. "Of course I did." She tried to sit up, shaky, tired, but smiling. "They'll come again," she said. "New hunters, maybe worse." Jalen nodded. "Then we keep moving." Velrah looked at him, her eyes not glowing now, but deep, soft. "No," she said. "We don't run anymore." He frowned. "Then what do we do?" She reached into a small compartment on her suit, pulled out a crystal, dark, clear, and pulsing with strange light. "This," she said, "is why they want me." Jalen stared at it. "What is that?" Velrah held it out. "A memory seed. It stores a full consciousness and a choice." Jalen didn't understand. But Velrah kept going. "My kind made these before we vanished. A way to pass on everything. Power, history, soul." She paused. "And now, I give it to you." Jalen blinked hard. "What?" Velrah leaned forward. "You were kind to me. When I was weak. When I was nothing. You didn't run. You didn't use me. You didn't ask for anything." A beat of silence. "That's why I choose you." Jalen looked at the crystal. It pulsed, as if breathing. "If I take that," he said, "what happens to me?" Velrah looked serious now. "You'll become more than human. You'll carry me, and everything I was. You'll live longer. Think faster. Feel deeper." Jalen kept staring. "But there's a cost." Velrah nodded slowly. "You won't be human anymore. Not fully." She placed the crystal in his palm. You'll be something new, something forgotten. But maybe something better. Jalen didn't speak for a long time. The wind outside howled through the broken station. Then he looked up at her. You trust me with this? Velrah nodded. With everything. Another pause. Jalen looked down at the crystal again. He could feel it, like it was watching him. He closed his hand around it, and for a second, the world went quiet. Then, he felt it. Memories, flashes. Her memories, her world, her pain, her love, her people's last words. It hit him like a wave, not painful, but powerful. He gasped. Velrah reached forward and touched his chest. You're not alone anymore. The crystal faded, disappeared into him, and something inside Jalen changed. He didn't glow. He didn't float. But something was different. He could feel her thoughts, and something more. A strength, a calm, and a hunger. Not for blood, for purpose. He opened his eyes slowly. Velrah, he said, voice steady. What am I now? She smiled faintly. Alive, she whispered. In a way humans never were. And in that broken room, between old walls and dead machines, a new kind of being was born. Not alien, not human, but something in between. And the universe would never be the same. No one knows what happened to the hunters after that day. Some say their entire network collapsed, as if they forgot what they were even chasing. Others believe they turned against their own makers, haunted by what Velrah showed them. But Jalen and Velrah, they vanished. No reports, no sightings, no bodies. Just silence. For a while, some believed they died in that scrap zone. But those who looked closer noticed strange signals near the outer star belts. Old satellites catching broken voices, half-transmissions in two languages never heard together before. Velrah's and Jalen's merged. One mind, one voice, one force. Ships found ruins of ancient tech, rewired, reborn. Systems thought lost, suddenly awake. And in the deep, cold edge of space, where light barely reaches, a new ship was seen. Red glowing core, black armor, and two figures in the cockpit. One human, one not. They didn't speak. They didn't stop. They just watched. Some say they're building something. Others think they're protecting something. But a few believe they're waiting. Waiting for the moment when kindness, once again, becomes dangerous. And when that day comes, they won't ask questions. They'll simply return. Together.